Hi, and welcome to the bonus lectures. This bonus lecture is from a request I got to discuss transaction fees. There's a bit of confusion whether they're optional or not optional, and I'm hoping that I can kind of clear that up a bit. So let's go ahead and begin with a transaction. So here is some guy. I'm a guy. And here is another guy. And I'll give him a beard. There we go. I'm a guy 1. We'll call this guy 0. Okay. And let's say that guy 0 wants to buy something from guy number 1. So what guy 1 and guy 0 are going to do is guy 0 is going to send his bitcoins to guy 1's address, which is just some public key. And I've discussed this in a bunch of lectures. It's about 27 to 34 hexadecimal digits long. So he knows about this address, he sends it to him, and then some magic happens, and the Bitcoin network will go ahead and verify this transaction. And this is where transaction fees come into play. So how verification works, for those of you who have watched the mining lecture, you'll have a leg up on this, but for the rest, basically, Bitcoins live, the whole Bitcoin ecosystem is a result of these things called blocks. And all of the blocks together, to the beginning of time, form a blockchain. So these guys called miners, all these little lines, they're really fast computers. Fast computers. These guys called miners go ahead and take a basket of transactions, just like guy number 0's to guy number 1's, and miners will go ahead and verify them. Well, here's the problem. Miners can only verify a finite set of transactions, a basket of transactions. And that's not a formal term, it's just something to help you get an idea. So I have a basket and I've put a bunch of transactions in there, and the miners are only able to go ahead and verify a certain set of them. And how many is not necessary for our purposes. But the idea is lots of stuff is going into this block, the current block that we care about, and we only have a finite amount of time to handle all of those transactions, approximately 10 minutes. And so there's what's called a FIFO queue, a priority FIFO queue. And that's just a technical term for first in, first out. And think of that like a supermarket. So we have our cashier here. We have this thing right here. Maybe we have this. We'll have a crappy magazine right here. Crappy mag. All right. And so how this works is people come into the line, and the first person who came into the line, the first person, is the person who gets checked out, and then he leaves or she leaves. Then the next person, then the next person, then the next person, and so forth. So that's how FIFO works. How priority FIFO works is, what if we build a scheme where instead of it just first come, first serve, what we can do is say this person is more special than this person. So even though this person came first, we're going to service the needs of this person first. So exactly how a priority FIFO queue is implemented with Bitcoin is a little complicated, but the idea is that over time, the reward for building a block is lowered. So from 2009 to 2013-ish, the reward was 50 Bitcoins per block. Then now it's 25. In 4 years, it's going to be 12.5. So the incentive to mine just based upon the coins you generate from making a block go down. The hope of the architects who designed Bitcoin was that because there's going to be lots of transactions, we would institute a priority FIFO queue. And a queue is spelled Q-U-E, in case you're ever curious about that. But we'll go ahead and form a priority FIFO queue, and basically the priority is allocated by who pays and how much. So that even though the reward for a block goes down, eventually making the Bitcoin supply constrained at 21 million, and right now that's pegged at the year, I think, 2140, based upon the models that we have, and assuming a 10-minute block generation time. So somewhere around there. Even though this is the case, you can still generate a profit from mining even in the year 2140, because what you'll be doing is handling the paid transactions first in a block, and then the unpaid transactions go to the back of the line. And if you have a very large set of transactions, this could mean that it could take days, if not weeks, to go ahead and handle those transactions when there's a surplus computing power within the Bitcoin ecosystem. So I hope that answers your question. To recap, the notion of transaction fee is basically front of line to back of line. New fee sum. And it's up to the miner and the software of the miner to decide what they want to process. Some mining clients can be adapted not to process a single transaction that does not pay a transaction fee. Other mining clients accept free transactions. So fees are, of course, always optional. Eventually, the money that you spend will be verified by the Bitcoin ecosystem, but whether that takes a short amount of time or a long time is completely up to what the miners want to do. As the incentive for making blocks is right now tethered with the blocks giving you money, you'll probably get your free transaction processed without any problem, especially during low transaction periods. But over time, especially within the next 25 years or so, fees will become much more important and a much bigger part of the Bitcoin ecosystem. So I hope that answers your question, and I hope that you have a greater sense of how this works. When I go ahead and start making the annotated Satoshi lectures, I'm actually going to discuss the physical computer science implementation of transactions. And they're a little bit more complex than I'm letting on here. But I figure for the majority of users, this is something that is unnecessary to know. But transaction fees are certainly something that's necessary to know, because you may have noticed the very first time you try to send money, there's a very small transaction fee associated with that. So it's good to know what exactly you're paying for. Basically, it's a fee to the miners for use of their computer time and energy to verify your transaction was legitimate. Just like most things in life have fees. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful day.